Welcome back to Runs and Drive Speed Shop. I'm Chris. Today we are going to continue working on the 1995 Honda Del Sol. Stopped by the parts store. Incredibly, they had everything I needed to get this car back on the road soundly, reliably, and get it back to Old Souls so that they can do what they're going to do with it. So let's dig in. I've already clearanced the wheel stud like I talked about in the last video. You just shave a side off of it just a little bit so you can get past the wheel bearing housing. It's not going to damage the integrity. It's going to tighten up just fine. But it does save you a ton of time taking the wheel bearing assembly apart and pressing it all out, pressing it all back in, putting it all back together. If you want to take that time, more power to you. If you do, you might as well go ahead and replace the wheel bearings while you're in there, because this is a time-consuming and sometimes a very frustrating process. So let's get going. Here is the wheel stud. You can see that I've clearanced it on the side, just flattened it out a little bit. So this is a M12 by 1.5 metric for Hondas. We've also, this was the stud, or the lug that they were using. I think it's a McLeod or something like that. So we were able to find Dorman. Same thing, exactly the same thing. They're not black, but we can paint those black. But yeah, I got 4 of those, so we'll toss them in the glove box. So they'll have some extras, but at least they all match and they can use. I did get a hold of the owners. Old Souls does have the lug wrench for this. They just happen to be, you know, down the road a ways, so I went ahead and bought a socket for it. It's only like this socket's like $9, so not bad to have in your toolkit, just in case you run up against something that does have these and nobody has a socket for it. You could be the hero. So all right, let's go ahead and get this started and get this in. All right, so bent this back. I mean, you can take the time to try to take these out, but I guarantee they're going to break off and then you're going to be digging those out. Just bend this back. It's not that big of a deal. Almost. So we're going to take a little persuader. Difficult to do with one hand, but see if we can't get it done. There we go. Clearance that, didn't damage any of the threads. All right, so you can either try to seat it with your hammer, or I bought an extra, we have an extra lug nut that we can use to pull that through and get it seated. You'll tighten that down with your wrench as you're tapping on the back so that you don't damage your threads. So give me a few minutes to get this all open, set up, and we'll get to it. All right, so adapter, 3/4 inch socket, 1/2 inch impact, persuader. So we're gonna tap here as we're tightening on this, and that will get this seated nice and flat on the back of your hub. Then you should be good to go. Now, I recommend if you do this, you use a extra or spare lug nut and or nut, because we will be damaging this surface right here. That surface right there. We'll be flattening that out a little bit on this lug nut, and it may not seat on your wheel like it should. So that's why I bought a 4-pack. I knew I needed an extra one. We needed a 1 anyways, because this one was broke off and lost. So that'll leave 2 extras for whatever needs to be done down the road. So, because I'm going to throw this away when we're done with it. All right, let's get to it. And I can't do this. All right, there you have it. Seated, flat, looks good. See what I tell you about this. Perfect. So this is what I was talking about. You're going to ruin a lug nut. So get that better in the light. See how that flattened out? Let me see if I can. Where did the other one go? Where did another new one go? Right here, the package. So what we got. Side-by-side comparison. Right there. Okay. See how that flattened out? The other one's still concave. This one right here is junk. We're going to throw that away. We're going to put that one on the car. All right. So now, get this straightened back up. Get all this bolted back on. I don't think you need to see that because you saw me take it all apart. So we'll get this all back together and get the wheel back on it. Take it for test drive, and then while we're test driving, that'll warm up the oil. I'm going to do an oil change, and we're going to put some back brakes on this thing because I noticed. Let me see. Need the flashlight. Poor lighting. Poor lighting. Here we go. If you look down in there, that wear indicator right here, that thing is almost to the disc. So that's almost shot. We need to, that is almost shot right here. Pads are real thin, so we're going to go ahead and put rear brakes on this car. That way it's done. That way when this thing leaves the garage, I don't want old souls to have to worry about anything. I just want them to be able to enjoy the car. So that is the aim. That's what we're going to do. We're going to change the oil, freshen up all the fluids, check everything over. Valve cover gasket, because it does have a valve cover gasket leak. Easy peasy. We got a Felpro kit for that right here. So we're going to put the Felpro kit on the valve cover gasket and air up all the tires, make sure everything's good, and then we're going to take it for a test drive. So I will get to work and see you in a little bit. Brad, this video is just for you, or you can share it. It's up to you. But I'm going to show you what I found here, and if you want to show everybody else, that's great. If not, you just keep it for your personal information. Okay. So, hang on, let me clean my lens. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're back. Ran the Del Sol around after the lug stud and lug nut repair. Ran great, drove straight, awesome. So now we're going to address a little bit of an oil leak on the valve cover. Drop the oil, put the new Wix filter on. Always use Wix, people. I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, run a non-Wix, save it, run a Wix, take both of those, cut them open, and see the difference in the pleats and the filtration. It's just the Wix filters are superior, hands down. I'm not a spokesperson. They don't endorse me. I've just been using them for 20 plus years. Use Wix. Anyways, there was a Wix filter on here. Put another Wix back on. So, where was I? Valve cover. So we had a little bit of a leak on the valve cover. I went and pulled the spark plug wires, and spark plugs 1 and 4, the holes were full of oil. I mean, I'm talking full. As soon as I pulled it out, it poured out right onto the header. Smoke goes everywhere. Great. So 2 and 3 didn't have any. So I got the valve cover off. Everything looks good inside. It's nice and clean. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. But there is one thing missing from this, and I don't know why. Maybe it's an upgrade. I don't know. But maybe they're supposed to be in. Nope, they're no O-ring. So anyways, like I said, I'm not a Honda guy. I've never owned a Honda. I've owned a Nissan, but not a Honda. So it's neither here nor there, but this is what I found. So here is the engine. It's nice and clean. I mean, for the mileage that this car has, this is really nice. So it's been taken care of. There is absolutely zero sludge in this engine. It's been serviced. So we've been blowing some oil out this corner, and I mean, that valve cover's not, that gasket's not that bad. It's pretty, you know, it's not that bad. But we're going to go ahead and replace it anyways. But what I noticed when I opened up the kit are these. Okay, great. I know what those are because they're on the bolt still. These, not in there. Missing all 4 of them. I don't know. Are they supposed to be there? Are they not? Leave your comments down below. We're going to definitely use them. I mean, that's what they're for, right? We're definitely going to put some back in. So, yeah, this didn't have any. That's probably why this one and this one was full of oil. Whatnot. But, yeah, this gasket doesn't look that bad. I'm not real sure. I mean, that corner is kind of loosey-goosey in there. Oh, maybe shrunk up. I don't know. Bolts are tight. So, we're going to go ahead and replace that. Address a couple other little nuts and bolts things, and then get the rear brakes replaced, and this car is good to go. So let's recap. Wix filters, apparently there's seals around the spark plug tubes. I don't know, I guess we're definitely putting them on. Yeah, all right, well, I'll get to work and we'll be back with you here in just a little bit. All right, here we go. Got it all cleaned up. Got the seals in. They're sealing around the tubes very nicely. It's, you know, it's not too different than a Hemi. Got the Felpro gasket in. Seems like it seats pretty well. So, yeah, definitely some oil splash. I'm not sure why these two weren't getting it, but these two definitely were. There wasn't any spark plug tube seals in here. So the kit came with new ones, so we put those in. Got them 1 1/8 seal to drive them in. Just an 1 1/8 socket, and a small ball peen hammer, and just tap them in real nice. I mean, they went in very well. So gonna put the bolt seals on. Bolts in. Put the PVC tube back on. And get some oil in it, fire it up, see if she's going to leak, and check over some other things, and then get to the brakes. All right. So, first time I ever had to take a hammer and a socket to valve cover bolts, but yeah, 1/2 inch drive, 1/2 inch socket, put this on the top of the anvil of the vise, and they pop right on. Probably not the right way to do it. I'm sure that you can leave a comment down below to tell me how much of a Honda noob that I am. I am. Learning. So, got the new bolt seals, and I'll tell you, the old ones, they haven't been on here for a while. So, all right. Not entirely sure where to stop tightening, but I've got gasket compression. Oh, okay, so there's bolt stops on here to tell you when to stop. Got it. I have to hand it to Honda that they know how to engineer, that's for darn sure. Alright, there's those. We will put, oh yeah, I dropped that bolt. Alright. Yes, I did wipe the spark plug wires off that were full of oil. Clean them a bit. They are good to go. There's that. I dropped the bolt. There it is. There it is. All right. looks acceptable. We'll get some oil poured in here, and oh yeah, forgot. All right, there we go. All right, I'm put oil in it. Fire it up. We are continuing to work on Old Soul's 95 Honda Del Sol. We've already taken care of a couple of the oil leaks, changed the oil, fixed the left front hub, put new rear brakes on it, and now we are going to address the major oil leak that we found. After researching a bit and doing some diagnosis, found out that the VTEC solenoid gasket or O-ring filter is leaking when the RPM is above 4,500, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and take that off. We're going to put a new gasket in it, new filter, or a little screen filter gasket, and hopefully that will take care of the oil shooting across the engine bay and making a mess of everything. So here we go. We're going to dig in. So what we have here is a VTEC solenoid, which from what I gather, maybe I'm wrong, leave a comment down below, is that once the engine hits a certain RPM, the solenoid turns on, shoots oil pressure to the cam, which changes the cam timing, and that's where you get your variable valve timing, or VTEC. Don't believe the VTEC's working on this machine at the moment because it doesn't have enough oil pressure to change that timing because it is leaking. So we are going to take off this little guy right here. Looks like there's 3 bolts. Pull it off, clean the surface on both that and the head. Put the new O-ring assembly in, which I have right here. Fairly inexpensive little deal right here. So didn't really like how they shipped it and packaged it, because they kind of smushed the mesh screen in there, but it is what it is, and I live out in the middle of nowhere, so this is what it's going to be. So let's go ahead and get this off and see what kind of shape the original one's in and see why it's leaking. Okay, so we got the VTEC solenoid assembly off. Now, this has, I believe, an oil pressure gauge. It has a solenoid, and then it has this screen filter. Now, yeah, if you can see right here, there is a O-ring gasket sticking out of the solenoid housing. Not the screen, though that is flat. However, this does not match that. So the head is off a different year, I guess. Not entirely sure. I'm going to have to run some numbers. But I do have some O-ring material here. So we're going to take this part off, split it out, and see what we can do with this, because it's leaking quite badly, and see if we can't get this fixed, because Brad from Old Souls is on his way this evening. So got a couple hours to figure this out. Hang with us and we'll see what we can do. All right, so we had an O-ring issue with the solenoid itself, not the housing, to the head, the solenoid to the housing. So we pulled that off. It was split at some point in time. Cleaned it up, degreased it. Since there's not one available, we went ahead and cleaned it up. Super glued. I know this sounds weird, but yes, you can make O-rings with super glue. You can splice them together. We 45'd it, super glued it, put it back in the housing, dabbed just a little bit of black RTV on there, and then tighten it back down to spec, and then let the engine warm up and run to try to, you know, get everything back nice and warm, and not necessarily cure or accelerate the cure time for the RTV, but, you know, just help it seal up. So if you can see this, let me find my flashlight. There we are. Flashlight. So it was leaking. Right inside there. Okay, so when you would hit whatever rev or RPM, whenever you hit the RPM to have that kick the VTEC in, it would just spray right out of here towards this way, as you can see. No leak at all. And it would run down the front of the engine right here. It would get all this all oily. Oil would be splattered all over that. So there we go. So if you live in an area that you got to wait for Honda parts and you need to get somewhere, or there's a car show you need to get to, yes, you can, on low pressure, relatively low pressure systems, you can splice, you can super glue O-rings back together. This is not a permanent fix. I already talked to Old Souls. They're gonna get the right parts coming. Another thing that they want to get done, so Brad is able to get that finished up. But everything else on the car is pretty well tidied up. We cleaned her up. We checked bulbs, make sure everything's running right. Idling great. No vacuum leaks. This is a really clean car, folks. I'm telling you. So, thank you for joining Runs and Drive Speed Shop on behalf of Old Souls. I hope you like the content. If you like, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know, get our names out there. Fairly new to the whole social media game, but not new to fixing cars and making things go fast. See you guys later.